I went through every signature move looking for the best one for each of the 18 types. We've covered the worst signature moves already, so now it's time to check out which ones reign supreme. To define what I'm considering a signature move is, I will list a couple criteria. Only one line of Pokemon should be able to learn this move in most situations. I will be flexible on multiple generation signature moves that may have had another Pokemon learn it, like as an event move, but it has to have been a signature move when released. And Smeargle doesn't count as it can learn pretty much every move. We have to also consider how useful the move is to the Pokemon who gets it. Do they have a lot of better options in their move pool? Does it synergize well with their typing, ability, or anything else? With the framework set, let's get into our first typing. We're going to start with the Steel type this time. This type has plenty of great signature moves, with the best of them being physical. While a move like Gigaton Hammer is extremely powerful, and Make It Rain is great in doubles, I have to give the honor of best move to Melmetal's Double Iron Bash. This move has 60 base power, but hits twice, giving it 120 base power. Each hit has a 30% chance to flinch too, which is just insane. Melmetal isn't fast by any means, but with a little investment it can outspeed a lot of defensive Pokemon and flinch them down. And if this move wasn't strong enough, it is further boosted by Melmetal's ability Iron Fist, bringing each hit to an effective 72 base power, or 144 overall. This is one of the most spammable attacks in the game. The only Pokemon taking it decently well times 4 resist Steel. The Fairy type comes next, and it isn't as impressive as a Steel type when considering good signature moves. It does have a few nice ones, with Magearna's Flare Cannon being a good nuke, and Spirit Break being a good physical option for Grimmsnarl and now Iron Valiant. But I don't think I can give the honor to any move other than Xerneas' Geomancy. Normally moves with a charging turn aren't very good, but they are usually attacks that leave you vulnerable and do less damage than just attacking twice. Geomancy is unique as it charges on the first turn and then raises your special attack, special defense, and speed by 2 stages each. It's the equivalent of getting 2 Quiver Dances, a notoriously great setup move that can give even the weakest Pokemon some threatening potential. What makes Geomancy so good is the item Power Herb, which allows Xerneas to receive these boosts in one turn. If used at an opportune time, this gives you a good chance to just straight up win. Plus 2 Fairy Aura boosted Moonblast coming off of Xerneas' great special attack can blast through resists and sweep entire teams. The speed boost will let you outspeed almost all choice Scarfers, while the special defense boost only helps. We move on to the Dragon type, and I had no clear frontrunner for best move. We have strong attacks on legendaries like Dynamax Cannon and Spatial Ren that are great stab options, but my top 2 candidates are actually signature moves of pseudo-legendaries. First we have the runner-up, and it was a very close decision. Dragapult's signature move Dragon Darts comes in second. Having 50 base power and hitting twice, this move is great in singles for breaking sashes or substitutes if you aren't running the Infiltrator ability. It avoids the contact that the alternatives Dragon Claw and Outrage would have, while having a unique effect of hitting each opponent once in a double battle. Dragon Darts is a great move, but I had to give the edge to Komodo's signature move, Clangorous Soul. This move provides a +1 boost to each of Komodo's stats at the cost of 1/3 of its max HP. What's nice about this is you can use it on special sets and physical ones, or you could go mix using Komodo's great move pool. With access to Drain Punch and Solid Bulk, it's possible to use this move multiple times to become unstoppable. This is also a sound-based move, so it will activate the item Throat Spray, which is a popular choice, meaning you will gain a +2 to your special attack after using Clangorous Soul. This move helps Komodo stay threatening after its powerful Z move that had a similar effect was discontinued. Rolling on to the Rock type, we see another great pool of signature moves. Moves like Accelerock and Diamond Storm were considered, and the power Stone Axe has while setting up Stealth Rock had to be mentioned. But I feel like I had to give the title of best signature rock type move to Garganacl's Salt Cure. I personally hate this move as it is so annoying to deal with. It is a pretty weak move at 40 base power, but the secondary effect it has doing passive damage each turn can be infuriating to deal with. Common rock type switch-ins like Bulky Waters and Steel types are scared to switch in, as this move does 25% of their max HP and damage each turn. And this passive damage lasts as long as the Pokemon affected with Soul Cure is active. So Garganacl doesn't even have to be on the field anymore to gain chip damage, like when using a trapping move. When you consider Garganacl can't be statused, has access to recover, and typically runs Iron Defense Body Press sets, you realize how careful you have to be taking all this passive damage. It can outlast so many Pokemon that it shouldn't, and I attribute this mostly to this disgusting move. Moving to the ground type, there actually aren't too many good choices. With Earthquake being such a great move already, it doesn't matter too much. I want to shout out Palossand's signature healing move, Shore Up, as I think it's the best out of the standard healing moves. But for the best of the ground type, I have to give it to the move that lets you bypass ground's biggest weakness. I'm talking about Zygarde's signature move, Thousand Arrows. This move may be a touch weaker than Earthquake, but when considering the effect it has to hit flying and levitating opponents, it's a no-brainer. It hits both opponents in doubles, applying the smackdown effect to any ungrounded opponents, making them susceptible to any ground effects. This move just straight up ignores ground's biggest weakness, making it the obvious choice. Speaking of flying types, they have a couple solid signature moves. Rayquaza's Dragon Ascent is a flying type close combat and gives it amazing physical stab flying move to spam. But I have to give the title to Yveltal's Oblivion Wing. It isn't the strongest move at 80 base power, but it is pretty much a super buff Draining Kiss. It restores 75% of damage dealt, which is more than the likes of other draining moves like Giga Drain and Drain Punch, which are weaker and restore only 50% of damage dealt. Coming off an amazing special attack, this move lets a strong bird forgo a recovery move and roost and attack and heal in the same turn. It's strong enough to do serious damage, especially when equipped with a Life Orb, as you won't even notice the 10% recoil as you heal more thanks to the extra damage. You can definitely argue the power of Dragon Ascent makes it a more spammable attack, but I personally like Oblivion Wing a little bit more. Moving on to the Poison type, which has had many solid signature moves added over the last few generations. Moves like Baneful Bunker and Mortal Spin are really nice defensive options that inflict poison and remove hazards in Mortal Spin's case. While Malignant Chain is an annoying move to deal with, having a 50% chance to inflict toxic damage along with a great 100 base power. But my top choice definitely goes to Sneasler's Dire Claw. It swapped its 60 base power and a high crit ratio from Legends Arceus to a more consistent 80 base power with no high crit chance. But the aspect that makes this move so great is its secondary effect. Where Malignant Chain has a 50% chance to inflict toxic, Dire Claw has a 50% chance to either poison, paralyze, or induce sleep. This makes it that much more threatening, as even poison type switch-ins, who normally feel safe absorbing these hits, are scared of paralysis or sleep. With Sneasler's Poison Touch ability, you can even up the chance of inflicting a status move, although competitively Sneasler often runs Unburdened to outspeed pretty much everything. The paralysis and sleep can give Sneasler a chance to set up with Swords Dance and Sweep. Malignant Chain does synergize well with Pecharunt's ability and Hex, but Dire Claw beats it out for me. The Ice type is next, and it doesn't have the greatest array of signature moves. Ice Beam is so great already that there usually isn't a need to give new moves to special attackers, so we see more signature moves on the physical side for this type. There were really only two candidates here. The runner-up being Slowking and Galarian Slowking's signature move Chilly Reception. A great pivot move that synergizes well with the Regenerator ability. Being nice and slow, this can let these bulky pivots scout a switch and gain positive matchups for their teammates. Without teleport available on Slowking this generation, it is a great alternative. The effect of setting up snow can be useful if you are running abusers or any ice types that enjoy the defense buff. It can disrupt opposing weather as well, which is good in those situations. But the top ice type signature move goes to Calyrex Ice Rider's Glacial Lance. It was super strong when introduced at 130 base power and was later nerfed to 120, but it still hits extremely hard, and a move that strong having 100% accuracy and no drawbacks on such a great offensive typing is incredible. This move hits both opponents in double battles as well, ensuring crazy damage. Poor Glastrier has to rely on Icicle Crash and Avalanche as stab options, while Ice Rider boasts one of the most spammable moves in the game. The Bug type has tons of great attacking options along with some terrific status moves. But this is another type with few signature moves. I would have loved to include Tail Glow, but with Manaphy and Xurkitree having access, and it only giving a +2 to special attack when it was actually a signature move, I can't add that. First impression was Golisopod's signature move for half a generation until Farfetch'd learned it. It's since been added to quite a few lines by level up and breeding, disqualifying it from this list. Pretty much the same goes with Ribomb's Pollen Puff, that was widely distributed a generation after releasing. We aren't left with many good options here, but I do have a solid move at least with Vespiquen's Attack Order. This may be the weakest addition to this list, but at least it's better than Twin Needle, Powder, and Silk Trap. Come to think of it, Vespiquen probably has the top 3 bug type signature moves, with Defend Order and Heal Order being better than those other options. While this move in Pokemon may be forgettable, it actually is pretty good all things considered. 90 base power with 100% accuracy puts it above moves like X-Scissor when considering this move also boasts a high crit ratio. You could argue a move like Lunge is more useful than Attack Order on this particular mon, and you'd likely be right, but with the limited options that fit my criteria, this move stands on top for the bug type. Moving on to a typing with more options, we have the grass type. There are a lot of great signature moves. None of them really stand ahead as the best, so I'd like to mention a few runners up. Apple Acid and Grav Apple are strong moves that lower the opponent's special defense and defense respectively. While Serena's Trop Kick is a bit weaker but lowers attack, these are all solid considerations. I had to ultimately decide on 2 moves that stand out above the aforementioned ones. The first runner-up goes to Masquerader's Flower Trick. At 70 base power, this move isn't too powerful, but it always results in a critical hit and bypasses accuracy checks to always hit. It is a pretty powerful move all things considered, but I had to give the top spot to an even more powerful move. This is Shaman's signature move, Seed Flare. At 120 base power, this move is stronger than a crit Flower Trick. The 85% accuracy is pretty shaky, but it makes up for it with a crazy secondary effect. Having a 40% chance to lower the target's special defense stat by 2 stages. Now while this might have been a toss-up considering regular Shaman doesn't turn many heads competitively, you have to also consider how crazy this move is on its Sky form. With the Serene Grace ability, this move has an 80% chance to drop Spadef by 2 stages. Pair this with its tremendous speed and a crazy 60% flinch rate of its Air Slash, and you have a Specialmon that can break through even Blissey. The water type is one that I know lots of you will have different opinions about. I can see the case for any of the 4 moves I'm about to mention being the best signature move. I considered Urshifu's Surging Strikes and Palafin's Jet Punch, as they are insanely powerful physical tools being staple options on their respective mons. But my top 2 I feel are even more powerful. The runner-up for best water type move, I have Volcanion's signature Steam Eruption. It has the power of Hydro Pump with the crazy 30% burn chance of Scald, a move I feel like is the best non-signature water type move in the game. The only downside is a 95% accuracy, which means this move will inevitably miss for you sometimes. It begs the question, which move could be better than this? My answer for you is the signature move of the fossilized fish Pokemon, Vicious Friend. This move single-handedly brought a Pokemon with average stats at best to the Uber tier. At 85 base power, it is already as strong as the go-to physical moves like Liquidation and Waterfall. And then you factor in its effect of doubling in power if the user moves first or the opponent swaps out, and you realize that not even a resist can take it well. The icing on the cake is this is considered a biting move, and Dracovish has access to the Strong Jaw ability. With a workable speed stat, Dracovish can hold a Choice Scarf to outspeed most other unscarfed Pokemon and make them experience the full power of the fish. Most teams had to carry a water immunity while Dracovish was legal thanks to this move, so we saw Pokemon like Seismitoad with heavy usage in the OU tier. Although it couldn't save Arctovish, it did give it a decent spot on Hail teams, as its Slush Rush ability let it hit with the full 170 base power most of the time, and usually behind Veil. As we move on to the Fire type, we face another very hard decision. Bitterblade and Torch Song are recent additions that could be considered for their great healing and boosting respectively. But it once again came down to 2 moves that were just that much better than the competition. My runner-up is Ho-Oh's signature move Sacred Fire. Coming in at 100 base power and 95% accuracy, this move's claim to fame is more in its secondary effect. It has a 50% chance to burn the target, which can effectively make you super bulky physically if you win the coin flip. Entei received this move too, but it fits my criteria still, just like the actual best signature fire type move. You guessed it already, but this is Victini's V-Create. At 180 base power and 95% accuracy, this is the strongest base power move that doesn't force you to blow yourself up or use a Z-Crystal. Victini does share this move with an event Rayquaza, but it still very much fits my signature move criteria. This move's imperfect accuracy is mitigated by Victini's Victory Star ability, and the incredible base power makes up for the downside of lowering the user's speed and defenses by a stage each. This move is strong enough to 2-shot bulky fire type resist coming off Victini's only decent 100 base attack. There aren't a ton of great switch-ins to this move, and it works amazingly on bandit or scarf sets as a revenge killer nuke button. Surging to the electric type, we find a bunch of nice physical signature moves, mostly because they refuse to add any good physical options, so they have to make a new move if they want a physical electric type mon to succeed. Anyways, there are solid attacks like Zeraora's Plasma Fist and Pikachu's Volt Tackle doing good damage. The special option in our Chaladon's Electro Shot is also really solid if used on rain teams. I thought Zekrum's Bolt Strike was a frontrunner for this at 130 base power, having a 20% chance to paralyze, but only 85% accuracy. Still, it is my number 2 for this typing, but the top move has to go to Fish's Wren's little brother, Bolt Beak. This move, like all electric type moves, can be countered by ground types and certain abilities, but if you don't have a ground type against a Dracozolt in Sand or Arctozolt in Hail, then you're going to have to be very careful. It shares Fish's Wren's 85 base power, and that power doubles if the user goes first, making it a dummy strong 170 base power before stab. When looking at the stats of these fossils with access, you wouldn't think they could be this threatening, but Bolt Beak is pretty much all they need to cause massive damage. The 100% accuracy gives it a big advantage over Bolt Strike, and you gladly take the massive damage buff over a chance at paralysis. This move may not be quite as crazy as Fish's Wren due to having a whole type immune to it, but as far as electric type signature moves go, this one takes a top spot for me. We'll rank the Psychic type next. I really want to put Lumina Crash here, as I think it has such an amazing secondary effect, and it is pretty much Acid Spray on acid, but the one Pokemon who gets it in a Spothra was banned to Ubers and singles because it used a different Psychic type attack and stored power. So just know that I feel like this is the best signature move for Psychic, but stored power just synergizes better with a Spothra's ability Speed Boost. So now I have to choose between the Lottie's newly buffed signature moves, Luster Purge and Mist Ball, or should I choose Necrozma's Photon Geyser that can be physical or special? There's boosting moves like Esper Wing and Mystical Power that are pretty good too. But I think despite these all being good moves, I'm going to go with Mewtwo's Psy Strike. While it doesn't have the great secondary effect of a move like Luster Purge, which I almost chose, it being a buffed up Psyshock, able to hit on the physical side, while also being as strong or stronger than all those other moves I mentioned, make it a solid choice in my opinion. This lets Mewtwo take down special walls or Pokemon it gets into boosting wars with, while its great coverage options can hit on the special side. Now please flame me in the comments why you think there are better signature Psychic moves. We hit up the Dark type next, and there are really only 2 options here. Before this generation, it would have been a no-brainer to give it to Urshifu's Wicked Blow, a once 80, now 75 base power move that always results in a critical hit. Really spammable move since Dark type immunities don't exist. But what if you could set up hazards while having a move almost as strong? Well, now you can in Gen 9 competitive with the move Ceaseless Edge. Now keep in mind, I'm more of a singles player where hazards are way more viable and important, and I know that overall Urshifu is a stronger Pokemon, especially in doubles thanks to Unseen Fist and crazy offensive stats. But Ceaseless Edge is a single thing that makes Samurott an OU level Pokemon in singles. Without it, we wouldn't see it anywhere near the tier. It is boosted by its Sharpness ability, making it not too much weaker than Wicked Blow, and the residual chip damage you will rack up from the spikes pushes it ahead. There have been Pokemon leads dedicated to just getting up some layers of spikes or rocks, so being able to do that while threatening insane damage is incredible. You don't worry about Magic Bounce, you can punish opponents sacking them on with more spikes, and it is just as strong as Knockoff when removing an item, making it a more consistent damage option. We will cover the Ghost type next, which has some insane signature moves. Like the runners up for this type would easily be the top choice of half the others type, if you know, swap their typing. Astral Barrage is like Glacial Lance, just really strong with no drawbacks. Spectral Thief is a reliable physical attack that deters and punishes setup by being able to steal boost to use against your opponent. But the top spot has to go to Rage Fist, the signature move of Annihilate. It's a move that starts out relatively weak at 50 base power, but gets powered up 50 base power every time this Pokemon is hit. It can cap out at a crazy 350 base power after 6 hits. This move is already very strong after just getting hit once at 100 base power, but after 2 hits, you have a Hyper Beam level of power with no drawbacks. Annihilate has plenty of opportunities to get this move going too with solid bulk, a resistance to Self Rock and the common pivot move U-turn, access to Bulk Up and Drain Punch for sustenance, and even more solid traits. At 115 base attack, this move pretty much can KO any foe once it's been powered up a bit. breaking past unaware Pokemon as well with sheer base power. And for those normal type immunities and dark type resist, its secondary fighting stab has to be worried about. This move sent Annihilate to Ubers and even is a solid non-stab option on Eviolite Primeape. Its crazy snowballing potential makes up for its slightly underwhelming base power at first. The normal type is next, sporting a large number of former signature moves I would have liked to consider, but no longer fit my criteria. There is still a very solid pool of moves to choose from though. Court Change is a solid choice on Cinderace and singles, as it can grant you hazards by virtue of your opponent setting them. Multi-Attack, Judgment, and Terror Starstorm are very strong attacks in their normal type form, although they do become other types in most scenarios, granting a lot of their usefulness to that. I think there is a better choice anyways. I want to give the best normal type signature move honor to a newer move, and Mousehold's Population Bomb. It is a 20 base power multi-hit move that can hit up to 10 times in one turn. This is more than any other move, as Beat Up previously had the record with 6 hits. This move allowed a Pokemon with these stats and a pure normal typing to have some usage in OU and still find use in middle tiers. It had some solid VGC usage last year as well, using this move on Technician sets when it wasn't being run at support. Speaking of Technician, this move's 20 base power is boosted by it alongside Stab, and even though each hit has an independent accuracy check, you'll find Mousehold holding the Wide Lens item to give each hit a 99% chance to hit. This almost guarantees you will hit 10 times every time. So we have the 10 hits at 20 base power, then we add Technician, then we add Stab, and we get a crazy 450 base power move right off the bat. If this Pokemon had even a solid attack stat in typing, this would be game over for us. But luckily the normal type is pretty easy to counter with no super effective hits. The last type is a fighting type, one of the best offensive types in the game. This one is a really hard choice, as any of the moves I'm going to mention could deserve the top spot. If you subscribe to the channel, you may have seen a poll I posted asking you all what you thought the best fighting type signature move is. I gave my 4 top choices on there, and you voted quite decisively. Coming fourth, we have Zapdos signature move Thunderous Kick, a 90 base power attack with a guaranteed defense drop. And third, we have No Retreat, the signature move of Phalanx. It provides an Omni boost to Phalanx's stat while preventing it from switching out. A great move honestly, just unfortunate it can only be used once and traps you in. The runner-up in the poll goes to Hisuian Decidueye's Triple Arrows, narrowly edging out Phalanx No Retreat by 1%. It's a crazy move having 90 base power and 100% accuracy. While already pretty good, it has 3 secondary effects, fitting for the name. A high crit ratio, a 50% chance to lower defense by 1 stage, and a 30% chance to flinch. And these aren't independent of each other either. They can all happen in one turn, with the chances of at least one of them happening pretty high. It just sucks they neutered Decidueye's speed to make the flinch chance less useful. But by far the winner of this poll, with over 50% of the votes, go to Hisuian Lilligant's Victory Dance, a physical quiver dance increasing attack, defense, and speed on this mon. It can be used to get up to +6 on those stats, and doesn't have any negative effects like No Retreat. This move boosts Lilligant's solid speed to great levels, letting it outspeed mostly everything after 1 boost, and gets physically bulkier and even stronger. If you add Hustle on top of this, you have a crazy powerful Pokemon, but Chlorophyll does work on some teams, or just if you don't want to risk the accuracy drop Hustle brings. Overall, it was a clear-cut winner for the over 5k votes on the poll. Speaking of 5k, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you that helped me get to 5k subscribers recently. It means so much people watch the content I produce and interact with it. I have a lot of fun and great ideas for different types of videos I'm excited to bring. So if you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to join the buds. It doesn't cost anything and helps me grow. Thanks for everything, buds. I'll talk to you soon.